The Mysterious Mermaid. There's a lobster in the water tank. Well, what's he doing there? Looks like the backstroke. That's not a bad joke, but it's something that really happens in this story, as we'll find out in a bit. It all starts over 1,000 years ago, in a quiet cove on the Cornish coast. You would find it hard to spot them, but there are mermaids in this quiet cove who lived happily in the green-blue waters. The peace and quiet wasn't going to last, however. One day they could hear a great commotion, bang and clang, and the sound of lots of men shouting and calling to one another. Cautiously, they approached the shore, the better to see what was going on. "It looks like they're building something," said one. "Oh, it looks bad news to me," said another. "Humans have to build things. They need somewhere to live. It's just what they do," shrugged a third, and slipped off to play with the crabs. But the building that was appearing was bigger than any house. It loomed larger and larger on the side of the coast. It was an enormous factory, and things were about to get even worse. First, there was the noise. The machinery in the factories churned and groaned and hissed and spluttered every day and right through the night. The mermaids grumbled and tossed and turned in their seaweed beds. That was bad enough. Then came the sludge. A long pipe carried the waste from the factory all the way down the cliffs and right into the mermaids' green-blue waters, which were now looking decidedly brown and smelling like something you wouldn't want to find in water you were swimming in. Like really bad. "We have to do something," they clamoured. "The waters smell worse than a troll's toilet, and they pretty much look like one too." "But what?" Then a small mermaid piped up excitingly. "We have magical powers, don't we? The magical conch. It grants our wishes. Can't we just wish the factory away?" "But it's no good here," another said. "We need to be much closer for them to have any effect. We have to make sure we don't draw attention to ourselves. I think people might be a bit suspicious if an entire factory disappeared in a puff of smoke." "I'll go, and I have an idea." It was the littlest mermaid of all. She might have been little, but she was very brave. Even, you could say, a bit bossy. "Children work in that horrible place. I'll change myself into a human child. No one would suspect a child of anything." There was an excited hum of voices at this, and they began to concoct a plan. "I'll need a name. A human name." You might have noticed that the mermaids don't have any names in this story. I mean, they do have names, but it's not the kind of name that you could pronounce. You need to be underwater and to understand mermaidese, which I'm afraid you won't find on Duolingo. All right. Let's find a totally normal human name. How about the Duchess of Salisbury? I don't think that's very normal. Not for a little girl. Okay, Bubbles McFloat? Can you tell me anyone who's called Bubbles? How about Rainbow Sparkly Pants? Hang on. The little mermaid swam off and came back with a tatty old towel that had been forgotten about on the rocks. "You want to be called Tea Towel? I mean, it's certainly original." No. Look at the label," she urged. "It has a name label on. Isabella. Perfect." The scene was set. Using the magic conch, the littlest mermaid whispered in her wish, and she took human form as Isabella. After trying out a few outfits, her favourite was a pink sparkly princess dress with matching gloves and a tiara. The others had to convince her that might just stick out a little bit too much. She transformed into just another Victorian child, looking for work at the newest factory. She was taken on at once, and set to work in the stinky, sooty factory, and it was time to start her plan. Hiding in a corner, she whispered her next wish into the conch. There was a groaning creak, and the machines stopped with a fierce crack. "What's happened?" yelled the foreman. There's lobsters in that water tank. Get 'em out!" And the next day she whispered once again into the magical shell, trying her best not to laugh. The machinery groaned and creaked and came to a halt once more. "The pipes are blocked!" "Well, unblock 'em then." They unscrewed the pipes and were astonished to find jellyfish clogging things up. "How did jellyfish get up there? Get 'em out!" Things were normal for a little while. Isabella thought she should be a bit careful. But then, crabs! Crabs all over the conveyor belt! The factory was in chaos. They kept finding fish in the tanks, eels in the electrics, and the amount of seagull poo that coated the factory roofs was something to behold. In fact, every time the owner, a certain Maxwell Grimeworthy, stepped outside, a seagull would poo on his top hat, something that was becoming very suspicious. And after an entire month, he had had enough. "I've had enough of this stinking fishy farce," he said finally, wiping seagull poo off his head once again with a large handkerchief. "Everyone out!" And just like that, the factory doors slammed shut, and Mr. Grimeworthy stomped away to make a factory somewhere less smelly. And, well, fishy. But not before another seagull had pooped onto his head. And Isabella, well, she'd done it. The seagulls had tipped things over the edge, and to be honest, she didn't even have to wish for them to do that. She giggled in delight and quietly slipped away and returned to the mermaids, taking her mermaid form once more, and was held up as a hero. And in time, the waters returned to the beautiful green blue crystal. The factory was thought to be bewitched, and in time it became a fun attraction for visiting families who would dare to walk through the haunted house. And Mr. Grimeworthy, we don't know what happened to him, but I do wonder if he's still hiding from seagulls. And that's the story of the Mysterious Mermaid. Thank you to Isabella for the character Isabella, a StoryQuest classic, getting your name in someone else's story. It's a brilliant idea. You can do that if you have an amazingly fun idea or just want your name involved. Use the StoryQuest character creator on our website. And now let's catch up with this week's Story Master. It's Sophie. Sophie, we've loved having you as our Story Master this week. A brilliant title. The Mysterious Mermaid. What made you think of it?
Well, I just like mermaids.
Okay, what is it you like about mermaids?
I like their tail and how they can breathe underwater.
Do you ever pretend to be a mermaid when you're swimming?
When I'm in a swimming lesson, no, but when I'm just on holiday, probably, yeah.
Well, listen, Sophie, it's been an absolute joy chatting to you, coming up with strange plans for Mysterious Mermaids. I hope you've really enjoyed being a story master this week. Thank you so much for sending us your idea. Got an idea for a story? Tell us the title at funkidslive.com/storyquest and we could bring your story to life. For a new story each week, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss a single episode.